Hi, my name's Karen E. Wells and welcome to Module 7 of this comprehensive NLP practitioner course. So Module 7 is all about anchors in the NLP world. If you have experience of hypnosis or hypnotherapy, you'll be familiar too with anchors, but they are a way of reinforcing positive feelings. When this module moves on to the slides, I'm going to go more in depth on these, but we're going to be covering sophisticated anchors, NLP anchors, we're going to be covering collapsing anchors. So this is a very important module for you to be aware of to reinforce the achievements and goals in a practical way to make sure that your client can achieve them. I'll see you at the end of this module, but right now we're going to move it into some slides, so enjoy this module on anchors. Okay, so let's have a look at anchors in the NLP world. So an NLP anchor helps an individual to create a positive state within themselves. Anchors are based on the principle of a boat anchor, which affords stability even in choppy waters. So it's really about bringing in a positive feeling to help overcome a negative feeling. In NLP terms, the definition of an anchor is an external stimulus that triggers a particular internal state or a response. So individuals set anchors and respond to them in the appropriate way. So I'm going to talk you through a task and then I'll cover some of the anchors that are within this module 7. So the first task is be clear about a positive state that you desire. So it may include being energetic, enthusiastic, or anticipating something. When you do this, be sure to be clear and very specific, using your own words to describe this state. Recall a specific occasion, a time when you've experienced this exact state. So this means looking for an experience which is similar, even if the context is very different. Once you've recalled it, really live that experience most vividly. In how we've looked at visual, auditory, kinesthetic, you've got to recall the experience as vividly as you can. So it means to engage fully with the senses and those internal sensations. Once you're within the state and at its highest point, so where it's the most vivid to you, set your anchor. You can use hand movements as an anchor or specific gestures. If you wanted to use an auditory anchor, you would listen and dissociate specific sounds. For visual preference, an anchor or an image could be created that symbolises the positive state, so it can be recalled in a second. So an anchor for an auditory person can be a bird song, or it could be a leaf fluttering or a beautiful flower if you've resonated with it. When there's a need to snap into a positive state, the anchor is simply fired up and acts as a stimulus to change that state. So it moves from negative to positive. It means recreating the physical movement, remembering the sound, or recalling the image. So there's some information within the training manual that looks more in depth at anchors. We're talking about sophisticated anchors where they can be used for a number of situations and be highly beneficial for any situation which is either challenging or fearful. So you're changing one to another. So if we took that somebody wanted to lose weight, it's important to get into a strong state that you're going to be able to say no to the wrong types of food. So imagining yourself saying no to those wrong types of food. Once you're able to do so, you can practice being tempted while being within the strong state, and the more you say no and the more you mean it, you begin to develop those healthier habits. You can even imagine yourself 6 months from now being slimmer, fitter. Breathe in that feeling. A breath is a wonderful anchor. So as that breath goes out on its exhale, it anchors in the positive feeling of being fitter, slimmer, healthier. We're talking about anchor collapsing. So that's about setting off two anchors at the same time. So a positive one as well as a negative one. You let go of that negative experience, the anchor, while holding on to the positive one for an additional 5 seconds. It collapses the negative and allows that positive one to remain, as in the example with weight loss. We're looking at anchor chains. So where one trigger will create another. So a chain of anchors can be the solution to a difficult or embedded problem. If you visualize, each link within the chain acts as a stimulus for the next link and therefore builds upon a sequence of events. So you start to say no to unhealthy foods. You start to eat healthy foods. You see yourself 6 months from now, slimmer, fitter, healthier. One anchor goes after another, and you make it as vivid as you can. So they can take a while to become second nature. Some people struggle to work with anchors, but once they've grasped the concept and it becomes instinctive rather than forced, they can become very, very effective. So that brings together the end of Module 7, which is all about anchors. There's a couple of self-assessment tasks for you to do at the end of this module, so please take the time to do them, as well as actually practicing. One of the tasks is about practicing anchors as well. Check yourself in with those self-assessment tasks, because that is really connecting with your own learning within this course. And then I'm going to see you in Module 8. Looking forward to it.